If you are a hockey fan, this is the best time of year for you. We have the Stanley Cup playoffs, which are currently in the conference finals, and we have a World Championship tournament that has been very entertaining so far. You have kind of some surprising teams. Latvia has 2 wins. The Germans are 4-0. It's just been very entertaining so far, and in today's video, I wanted to take a look at 5 NHL players who have really impressed me in this tournament so far, and it is a small sample size as we are only 4 games in, but I still wanted to make this video because I've been watching and really enjoying this tournament. But before I get into it, I just want to say I am sick. That's why I didn't post yesterday. I wasn't going to post today either because I'm still not feeling the greatest, but I didn't want to go 2 days without uploading. So if my voice is a little off and I don't sound the greatest, my apologies. I am sick, but I still wanted to make this video. So on the screen right now, we have some honorable mentions. Nikita Kucherov, who was signed by the Vegas Golden Knights in the playoffs, didn't get to play a game, but they gotta be liking what they're seeing from him in this tournament, you know, dominating on the international stage, because you are playing against a lot of very good NHL players, and he's definitely been showing out for a pretty stacked Russian team. They have Nikita Kucherov, Ilya Kovalchuk, Alex Ovechkin, Kirill Kaprizov. We know how good of a team they can put together. Jakub Voracek has been really good for the Czech Republicans. Filip Hronek has actually been very good for them as well, which I'm pretty surprised with. He had a fantastic rookie season for Detroit, and you know, him putting up some pretty decent point totals at the international stage, I'm very impressed with as well. Hopefully he can come in next season for Detroit and really build off this. And then Patrick Hornqvist has been pretty good for Sweden, and Rudolfs Balcers, I'm not quite sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I know he did play a pretty good chunk of NHL games this year for the Ottawa Senators. So Senators fans, let me know down in the comment section if I am pronouncing his name right. But those are just some of the honorable mentions, and now let's get into the 5 players who have really been impressing me the most so far during this tournament. Starting off, and this is in no particular order, and that is Nikita Kucherov from the Russians NHL team, the Tampa Bay Lightning. We obviously know how dominant of a year he had in the NHL, and he is continuing that on to the international stage. He's always good wherever he plays, and he really is making a case that he could be the best player in the world right now. Obviously, he had the most points by a pretty significant margin in the 2018-19 NHL season. 82 games played, 41 goals, and 87 assists for 128 points. But that's not what this video is about. It's about how he's doing in the World Championship. So his Russian team, 4 wins, no losses. They are first in Group B. Obviously, we knew they were going to be a dominant team, you know, with just all the guys they can put together on this roster. And so far in the tournament, in 4 games, Nikita Kucherov has 3 goals and 7 assists for 10 points. If I had to place a bet on who I think is going to win this tournament, like if I had a lot of money on the line, I think I would go with the Russians. They just have a lot of international experience. Obviously, a lot of them played together, you know, in the Olympics. Obviously there was no NHL players allowed, but a lot of them still did play together. They won a gold medal there. The Russians have been very successful on the international hockey stage over the years as well, and Nikita Kucherov really has been dominating this tournament, and I don't really see any team that could slow them down. The Americans are pretty stacked, but they've kind of had an underwhelming tournament so far. Team Canada doesn't have the greatest team put together. Obviously, they've been struggling a little bit so far, so it definitely is interesting. There's a lot of parity in this tournament, but if I had to place a bet on who I think is going to win, I think I would go with Nikita Kucherov and the Russians. Next up, we have Nico Hischier from Team Switzerland, and Nico Hischier didn't have the greatest year in the NHL. He struggled with injury a little bit, had a decent point per game average that was a little above his of last season, but, you know, New Jersey probably wishes he could have stayed healthy for the entire year, but it was just an all-around bad season for pretty much everyone on that team. So like I said, NHL team is the New Jersey Devils. 69 games played, 17 goals and 30 assists for 47 points in this past NHL season. So far in the tournament, 4 games played, 3 goals and 4 assists for 7 points for Nico Hischier, and his Switzerland team has 4 wins, 0 losses, and they are second in Group B behind the Russians, because I think they have the worst goals for and against than the Russians do, and that's the tiebreaker in terms of who's above who if you have the same amount of wins and points. But Team Switzerland has honestly been very impressive. Kevin Fiala has been great in this tournament as well. Him and Nico Hischier developed some pretty quick chemistry when they were put together, and for this tournament, I'm really happy that Nico is doing well. I think it could be a real confidence boost for him heading into next season, and New Jersey Devils fans and even the New Jersey Devils organization, if they are paying attention to Hischier in this tournament, should really be liking what they are seeing, because sometimes for a young player, if you can put up really good numbers in a tournament with so many stars in it like this, that could be a really big confidence boost heading into next season, obviously coming off a year where he didn't have the greatest year, like I said, still decent, but I'm sure New Jersey and their fans would have liked a little bit more of a leap forward for Nico. But, you know, sophomore slump, that stuff happens. I think he's going to have a great year in the NHL next season, and he's really showing what he can do at the international stage, having a fantastic tournament so far for Team Switzerland. Next up is one that I'm particularly happy about, and that is Anthony Mantha from Team Canada. NHL team, my favorite team, the Detroit Red Wings, and this season in the NHL, he did have that hand injury that made him miss a couple months there, and he only played in 67 games, but still did have a career high with 25 goals, and I think if he would have stayed healthy and, you know, played a full 82 game schedule, he would have been up there as a 30 goal scorer. But I definitely think he will hit that mark next year, obviously if he does stay healthy. So 67 games played last year, 25 goals, 23 assists for 48 points. So far at the tournament, Team Canada is 3-1, and they are third in Group A. They got off to that slow start with a loss in the opening night against Finland, but they really have bounced back and played pretty well since then. But they weren't really tested. They didn't really play any of the powerhouses just yet. I think we play the Germans tomorrow. That'll be a good matchup. Germany is 4-0, so I'm really looking forward to that game. And in the tournament so far, Mantha in 4 games has 5 goals and 4 assists for 9 points, one of the leading scorers in the entire tournament, and has arguably been Canada's best player so far. And I'm very impressed by him. He's using his body out there to protect the puck very well, and he's showing that he has that goal scoring touch with 5 goals in 4 games. Him and Kyle Turris developed some pretty good chemistry over the first couple games of the tournament, and I'm really excited to see Anthony Mantha, you know, continue to do well in this tournament. I think it can be a really big confidence booster for him next year. You know, he's playing against some very good players in this tournament, but I am very curious to see how he does when we play against a team like Russia or Sweden or maybe even Finland again, or the United States. It's definitely going to be interesting, but so far from what I've been seeing from Anthony Mantha, I have been very impressed. Next up, we have the ever so talked about and ever so criticized William Nylander from Team Sweden. NHL team is the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's no secret that William Nylander didn't have the year that he and the fans and the organization would have wanted, but it must have been tough, you know, not to play all season, and then after they did finally get the contract signed, just to come in, jump right into the NHL, and just be expected to do what you did the season prior. It would have been tough on him, and, you know, I don't think all the criticized that he got is warranted. Like I said, I definitely think it would have been a tough situation to be in, and like I said multiple times in this video, I think this tournament can be a real confidence booster for William Nylander, and he's kind of reminding people that he still is an amazing player. So far in the tournament for Team Sweden, 3 goals and 7 assists for 10 points in just 4 games, leading Team Sweden in scoring, and is actually tied with Nikita Kucherov for the tournament lead in scoring. So if Team Sweden does go all the way, William Nylander definitely potentially could be the MVP of this tournament, and then I think a lot of people would really start to realize that he still is the player, you know, that put up 60 points in the NHL just a year ago. This year in the NHL though, 54 games played, 7 goals and 20 assists for 27 points, and like I said, I don't think all the criticism was warranted. I know he would have liked to have put up more points and stuff like that, but he did get better as the year went on, and I thought he was pretty decent in the postseason as well, even though he didn't put up the greatest numbers. But like I said, this is going to be a pretty big confidence booster for William Nylander in my opinion, and, you know, hopefully he can really continue this into the tournament and maybe get something done for Team Sweden, and then hopefully carry that momentum into next season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now finishing off the video with the player that I've honestly just been blown away with, and that is Kaapo Kakko from Team Finland. NHL team to be determined, most likely going to be the New York Rangers, but he really has made a case for himself in this tournament that New Jersey's probably looking at and going, maybe we should second guess that #1 overall pick and potentially take Kaapo Kakko. I know a lot of people have been saying that Kaapo Kakko has surpassed Jack Hughes as the #1 pick, but I don't think just from this one tournament that you should jump to that conclusion, but it is ridiculously impressive that he is dominating in terms of goal scoring to this level against NHL talent. Against Team Canada in the first game, he really set the tone with that amazing breakaway goal, and then had an empty netter that game, so he had the 2-goal game. Then he had a hat-trick, and then I believe it was last night he had just a ridiculous goal. So far in the tournament, his team Finland has 3 wins, 1 overtime loss for second in Group A, and in the tournament, Kaapo Kakko, 4 games played, 6 goals and 1 assist for 7 points, so obviously showing off that goal scoring touch. One thing that I've been impressed with so far is just his size and speed at such a young age, and being able to control the puck using his body, down low. He has a really good cycle game, and with big, strong NHL defensemen trying to knock him off the puck, it's still just very, very impressive with what he can do. And this year in the Liga, 45 games played, 22 goals, and 16 assists for 38 points. I mean, coming into this, everyone knew how good Kaapo Kakko was, but honestly, I've just been blown away, and I didn't even know he was this good. He really is been Finland's best player, and he's just 18 years old, playing against some of the best players in the world. Very, very impressive, and I'm really excited to see what he can do at an NHL level. But for right now, I'm just going to keep on enjoying what he's been doing at this tournament because I've just been very impressed. So that is going to wrap up this video. I really hope you guys did enjoy, and if you've been following this tournament, make sure to let me know down in the comments section who are some players that you have really been impressed with so far, and give me your prediction on what team you actually think is going to go on and be the world champions this year. And I know a lot of you guys are caught up in the playoffs, but if you haven't been watching this, I suggest you give it a look if you're not really doing anything, because it's been some really, really good hockey. And with that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in the next video.